Bigger. Better. Bolder. The cold, hard truth is taking talk to the next level. Right here on Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's Community Radio. We are still spilling the tea and committed to being part of the change that Cayman so desperately needs. Join Sandy Hill weekdays from 7:30 a.m. for Premier Access, Cayman Voices, Truthful Thursdays, and much more. Cayman's #1 talk show is now bigger, better, bolder, and more than talk. Getting results with hot topics, consumer reports, court exposés, and more.
I've come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold, hard truth.
Now, from the CMR studio in Grand Cayman, live, direct, it's the cold, hard truth. Now, join the conversation on 345-936-2626.
That number again is
345-936-2626.
People talking. What are they talking about? This world's gone crazy, and I'm trying to find a way out. Nobody knows where we're going, or if we're going at all. Nobody cares if we stand, if we have nowhere to fall. It's a singing symphony, playing as the ship goes down. It's a porcelain epiphany, breaking if it hits the ground. I gotta find a way out. So many questions answered without an answer to tell. Too many things on my mind for anything to go well.
All right, folks. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. I do see that there is a little bit of issue on one of our pages, the Facebook community page. We were going to stream there, but that's okay. We're not going to worry about that page, honey child, because we're on the main page. All right. Ay. What a mess. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. How's everybody doing? It is Thursday, July the 3rd. We have so much to talk about, but I may end up spending a good deal of time talking about this situation at the HSA because this is very, very egregious, and I am just disappointed. Of course, I'm disappointed that I even have to have this conversation, but I sit here today knowing that if I don't have this conversation, then the question becomes who is going to be having it this morning? In case you didn't see the story yesterday, and perhaps if you're driving to school and you have younger children or anyone who's particularly sensitive to the topic of sexual assault, this may not be the show for you to listen to, because it is very, very just shocking and unbelievable. You know, it's boy. It's a difficult conversation. And you know, there are times when I am at a loss for words, not because I'm actually at a loss for words, but because I am so angry at the things in this country that we continue to fail at, that we should not be failing at. Some of this stuff is quite honestly relatively easy to fix. And so on days like this, I cannot tell you how much it is a challenge for me to have this conversation and not lose my, let me just fix this camera a little bit. I think it's a little bit of adjusting. It's difficult for me to not lose my ish, for lack of a better word, because it's definitely not 9:30. Wow. Okay, man, we need to prioritize certain things, and we need to get certain things right. Because when we don't, this isn't just a matter of, you know, oh, this young lady just got sexually assaulted, she'll be fine. This is us having to take accountability and responsibility as a country. And this time I'm gonna put the blame this morning squarely and where it belongs. Don't worry, we come into that. Because this is not the day that anybody is going to get a pass. I can tell you, it does not matter how much I like you. It doesn't matter what you have done in the past. Today, there will be, when I say 0 passes to be had. You know, if it was a different time frame, I'd be telling y'all something different. When I tell you 0 passes to be had, I'm trying to adjust this camera. Hold on. I am extremely serious. Okay? We are failing our young people in the worst kind of way, I'm afraid. And I am a bit distraught that this incident has even happened, because there's no reason for it. It was foreseeable. And when something is foreseeable, that actually means, folks, that it is avoidable, right? So this is something that we could have ensured did not happen to this young lady. And I'm already starting to, you'll have to forgive me, my camera is a little bit off, like it should be down here, but I'll sort it out later. I'm already starting to hear excuses about the young lady. And when you say those things to me, of all people who have, done a little bit of research in this area, a lot of you don't know that I actually did a course. I didn't finish it, but I did a course out of Canada on advocacy for sexual assault victims, child sexual assault victims, in fact, because they are different than adults. So when I hear people starting to say to me, well, do you know this about her? And she did this and she did, it boils my blood to hear that kind of foolishness, because that is the sort of stuff that is precisely what we mean when we talk about victim blaming and shaming. We're going to get to that because we need to have this conversation. And folks, every single time an incident like this happens, yes, I'm going to have the conversation until we get it right. Until no more 13-year-olds, 9-year-olds, 12-year-olds, 5-year-olds are at risk in this country. If I have to have this conversation until I am blue in the face, until I take my last breath, we are going to have the conversation. HSA, where do I begin? First of all, I had to think about if I were, this child's mother. My God, you wouldn't have to ask if heads would roll. I could tell you that heads would roll. Okay? It would only be, folks, a question of when, and it would have been as soon as I found out. We've got to do better. There's a lot of foolishness going on at the HSA, and I feel like I have given them a little bit of a bly for the most part. And so today that is over. Leanna says the HSA night staff should be fired. You know who should be fired? Let's start at the top. Lizette, I am so sorry. But today is the day that you should be handing in your resignation, because this isn't the first time. You should hand in your resignation to the board and simply admit that the HSA is now a runaway project for you, and you have zero control over what's happening. We need somebody to go in there and clean up shop. It's as simple as that. The management team has failed. And not just her got to go. No. We are coming, folks, to the whole list of them and I got names and I got positions. We're going to come to the whole list of the management team this morning that needs to get up, pack your bags, and walk right out. As a matter of fact, don't go through the front door. Just go through the side door at the HSA. But it is time for you to go. How is it that you have children mixing with adults in a mental health ward? I feel like anybody who does that probably needs to be a member of the ward themselves. How is this possible? What level of insanity is this that we are dealing with? I need answers, and the answers are not going to placate the situation where you still don't get terminated. This is serious beyond serious. Let me ask the question this morning. How does this even happen? And it's not the first time. Make that nugget sink in. It's not even the first time. But here we are. Y'all have covered it up in the past. CMR didn't get wind of it before, but we got wind of it now. And we know that it's not the first time. And so, in order to fix the dysfunctionality that is happening at the HSA, we unfortunately have to start at the head. We got to cut off the head, and we got to cut off a couple major limbs at the top and do a reset. This parent has every right to be sitting in front of a lawyer this morning, demanding the HSA, which is the Cayman Islands government, which is we the people, be sued and hand over a check for millions of dollars for the negligence that has been committed here on their watch. Our children are not safe at the Health Services Authority. They're not safe on the mental ward. Explain to me then where they are safe, because that's what I want to know. Our children, where are they safe? So you guys will remember that last November, I think it was, this guy, Travis Webb, he's on the ward. Yep. He gets to go to the gym and all kind of amazing stuff. And he escaped. They all now, we've not heard any sort of outcome of an investigation. Right? November, December, January, February, March, April, May, June, July. Not a word about how this happened. When it happened, I was kind of like, excuse me? He escaped? How exactly does that work? How does he just get up and walk out of the HSA? Not a word. The board, I haven't heard anything from them. Where's the investigation that took place? Because I want to know. What were the results? And as I sat here thinking about this, I said to myself, if he can escape, and we know that he's not quite right in the head, the reason why he's on that board sort of indefinitely is they're trying to see if they can get him to the place where I guess he is able to stand trial for trying to bury his own child in the backyard. And this is the man that you have on a walkabout. And I started to ask some questions because I'm like, a mental patient who attempted to murder his own child escapes from the HSA custody? What kind of mental ward are we dealing with here? Dude gets to go to the gym. He probably goes bowling. God knows what he's up to. You'll see him at the sandwich shop. I mean, not being funny, but who knows? So immediately, this was November 26th that this story went out. I sent the HSA an email. Oh, you have to send it to our FOI department. Well, y'all know what I think about FOI. That should stand for something else. I said, okay, let's follow the procedure. Because, you know, they always want clean. Oh, CMR getting information. And they're not following the right procedure. There's a way to do it. Okay, you must ask the questions. Oh, okay. All right, then. As though that's going to make a difference. Let's be very, very clear here. So you ask the questions. I'm going to show you guys what happens when you ask the questions, right? So I sent a list of questions. I was actually asking additional questions in relation to the COLA. These questions went through on Wednesday, November the 27th at 10:23 a.m. Asked a list of questions. I'm curious about how you're treating like the average person that's in custody. You know, I wouldn't think that he would have been average to me. If he's good enough to be going to the gym and doing a walkabout the place, well, then he's good enough to be in Northward Prison at Her Majesty's Palace, His Majesty's Palace now, right? So I sent some questions. I asked about the COLA because, you see, while y'all was sitting here talking about, oh, this is great, we got money to give, or HSA can find money in their budget, this one can find money. Now look at the position. We're not talking about finances this morning, but I want to remind you there was a reason why I was asking about this COLA. Because guess what? I saw the financial position coming in relation to this country. I saw it. I'm like, oh, here we go. We gonna be broker than broke. UPM wasn't fooling me. So I wanted to know how many patients there were, how many rooms, what are the visitor protocols, what's the daily routine of the average person, meaning the average patient at the mental health facility, what is the age spread? You see that question in there? This was from November 27th in the morning. So I wanted to know who was there, what are the ages? Specific to the missing person, how did he leave the facility? What are the security protocols for the facility? And you know what I got from their legal team? Now, I can't imagine that he would have answered these questions without consultation with the CEO of the organization. Let me show you how much they value. And this is why I don't fool with government when it comes to questions, because I already know what the average person, y'all need to figure this out, is if they want to hide something and they don't want to answer the questions, they're not going to answer the questions. And the manner in which they do it actually insults me. Yes, I'm insulted because they obviously take me for a fool. Okay? So to me, these are pretty simple questions. I don't think there's anything complicated here about it. What does he come back with? He ignores the majority of my questions because you saw, let's compare. I had 7 questions. And the COLA questions. That was another, 4 or 5 questions. He comes back with this. And basically says about daily routine of average person. Please clarify what is meant by daily routine of average person. What is meant by average person? And what is meant by daily routine? Then the question about how he left the facility. The matter is the subject of a criminal investigation, and as such, inquiry should be directed to the RCIPS. Really? Is the RCIPS standing at the doors of the HSA? You guys have no protocols around security there? Is the police going to be able to tell me what your security protocols are? Then in relation to the question about security protocols, please clarify what is meant by security protocols, noting the risk to national security that this might pose if some information is disclosed to the public. National security at the HSA? Do you all have bombs on the mental health ward as well? What kind of national security y'all talking about? In the ordinary context of the word security protocols, this is where now they're playing games at people and they think people are stupid. In the average context of the word, what do you think security protocol means when you just had a patient on the mental health ward escape? I was like, dude, are y'all serious? Do not play games with me, because I wasn't in the mood then. And I can tell you this morning, as I reviewed this chain of emails, I am definitely not in the mood. This is it. This is how much they value the public. And we all at some point might have to use that facility. We never know when we might have a mental break in this country, because God knows the foolishness that is going on here would end up, make us all end up in this soon. What? What do you mean by security protocols? And then you got to throw in national security, because national security is one of the exceptions to FOI, you see. But they think they think we're stupid. This is an insult, and anybody who approved him to respond in this particular manner, they should be fired. So I was like, really? Okay. I went back and I said, well, what are they allowed to do during the day? Leave the site and visitors? I said, security protocols. Who can visit? What are the protocols for visitation? What security is on site, outside of the facility? How many patients? How are patients allowed to interact? Do you have security policy and manual? How many guards / security officers? Those were the follow-up questions. Yeah. Thank you for your response. We'll respond in accordance with the Freedom of Information Act. Right. Okay. When did I eventually get some sort of response? In January. Yep. That gave enough time to actually write the document, because it probably never existed. So they sent me a little one-page sheet on requirements for visitors to the behavioral health unit. Right. And then they sent me an email saying that the other information that I have requested might contain information that is not disclosable. Notwithstanding, the authority is pleased to grant you partial access to the information. Again, complete hogwash. So you see, the reason why I wanted to know about the age is because already I was getting indications that there were young people there, teenagers and adults, and I needed to understand why you have people going all the way up to age 80. And then in terms of security protocols, how are the patients interacting with each other? What happened with this young lady was beyond foreseeable. It was only a matter of time. And like I said, it's not the first time. So they knew that already. And they have put nothing in place. And this is why they should be fired. They have put nothing in place to rectify what happened before. What they did is they simply decided to cover up this situation, cover up the incident. My understanding is not even the board knew about the previous incident. How is it that someone is sexually assaulted at a government facility and the board, if we get sued, the board has to deal with it. The ministers appoint the boards. Let's understand how this works. But yet the management at the facility is hiding critical risk situations and crimes that are happening on government property from the board. Folks, somebody needs to be fired, and it should happen today. They should be put on immediate administrative leave as a full investigation is carried out into these allegations, and then they should be fired. As a matter of fact, if it was up to me, they ain't getting no administrative leave because they should not be getting another dime of our money. Termination immediate. Somebody has lost the plot at the HSA. And I'm afraid to say that I have to put it on Lizette's shoulders because, I know a bit more about what's going on there. They're sitting down worried about how they need to find money to have a cath lab and trying to make the argument to the board, the argument to government, oh, we need a cath lab. A cath lab for what? Because they're more concerned about competing with Health City, Cayman Islands? That's why they need a cath lab? You worried about, you don't have the space for it. You don't have the machine or equipment for it. You definitely don't have the staff and you don't have the money, but that is a priority. That's what you're worried about. Instead of fixing the mental health behavioral unit, whatever they call it, so that patients, underage patients, are actually safe from each other. Listen, under the best of circumstances, right? People are an eminent risk to children. Okay? You don't mix children with adults. In fact, even adults are a risk to themselves. You guys know that in nursing homes, anyone who is a vulnerable victim, you're under anesthesia, you have memory loss, you're having mental health breaks, you are a perfect victim for someone, even the staff, looking to sexually assault an individual. And these are things that the HSA needs to be thinking about, should have been thinking about, and should have been putting protocols in place from day one. And to now hear that we've had multiple instances of rape at that facility and nothing has ever been done, no heads have rolled today. What today's date is? July the 3rd, that needs to change. We cannot allow this kind of behavior to go unresponded to in our country. We have to send a clear message. When you screw up like this, there will be consequences to your behavior. You worried about a cath lab? Don't worry about no cath lab. Okay? Worry about the safety of your patients. This is quite an egregious situation. I'm going to tell y'all straight up. And I want to be very, very clear here because I actually like Lizette. I've gone to bat for her on more than one occasion. She would not even know. Yeah? But I can't go to bat for you today. Not on this. This is a whole different cup of tea yet today. And it's not good. So you have more than one example of where children have been put at risk, they have had to deal with the consequences. And here's the part now that really starts to grate my soul. I'm going to give you guys some details. And, some of you have been asking me, oh, is it this person? Is it that person? Listen, I don't want to know who it is, right? I'm sure I don't even know the young lady. The perpetrator is out, by the way. He's out in the streets, walking around. So apparently, whatever mental health problems he had on Sunday, he's okay today because he's left the facility and he's able to walk around. Police not pick him up yet. Popo, don't have me start on you, honey child. RCIPS, go and get him. You see, this is where I have to now wonder, how did he leave the facility? They permitted him to leave, and the police didn't say, oh, excuse me, sir, you were raping a 13-year-old child. Now you need to come with us because now you need to go to a different kind of facility. No. They allow the man to get out and leave the facility and he gone about his business. Imagine that. See, Sophia is like, what? Why is he not in jail? Yasmin, it's a damn good question. Yes, he was caught in the act. And we're going to talk about some of the details. That's why I tell you, don't make your children listen to this. Because as adults, we're going to be traumatized. I can only imagine how children would feel hearing this conversation this morning. Okay? So he has left the facility. The victim, the young lady, is still in the mental health ward unit. The 9-year-old who stood there watching this, Jesus Christ, look, my daughter is going to be 9 next month. I cannot imagine her being exposed to this sort of thing. He needs therapy now, I am sure of that. Like, what? A little 9-year-old boy sat there and witnessed this happen? And they move him to the medical ward? My question is, why is he now in the medical ward? Did he have some kind of other incident? Now, listen, I have issues with a 9-year-old even being in the same room, in the same facility with no protocols as a 13-year-old, much less having to be there with adults and then seeing this sort of thing happen. This is crazy. Like, I couldn't make this stuff up if I tried. The 9-year-old sat there and watched. He's been moved now to the medical ward. And what? Is he getting therapy? What's going to happen to him? The young lady who this happened to, what services are being offered to her other than probably just drugging her up because, give her some more medication. Maybe she'll forget what happened. Now, let me be clear about something when it comes to victimology, right? This young lady is actually in the care of the government. She is a ward of the state. Kay's Foundation, you don't exactly get a pass here this morning either, because enough of y'all over there also need to be fired with a capital F. Let's deal with them too. They need to go. So she's a ward of the state. She's having issues at Kay's Foundation. They can't manage her. So the next best thing to do is to put her in the mental ward. Oh, she's over-sexualized. She's having a difficult time. She's this, she's that. I'm like, okay. And all of that says to me, I'm no clinical expert, but she's trying to engage in sexual activity, even at Kay's Foundation. Yeah. When a 13-year-old is engaging in that kind of behavior, what is actually happening, right? The child has been over-sexualized at a very young age. And normally, when that happens, that means that that child has been a victim of sexual abuse at an early age. So all she knows is to try to respond. That is what she has unfortunately learned. So now she's going to try to respond with everything in life with sex. It's as simple as that. That's what that's all about. And if she's not getting intensive therapy that she needs in the right way, I'm not surprised that she is trying to engage in sexual activity with people. But you see, when you send a patient like that to the behavioral unit, the mental health ward at the hospital, good God, does anyone not see that what that means is that she needed to be extra secured? The HSA would have gotten her profile. They would have known this about her. And that meant that of all of the people in there who were subject to sexual abuse and rape, it would have been her. And it doesn't matter that she might not even see it as that sort of a situation, because one of the excuses that they're trying to make is, oh, she initiated the contact. Lord Jesus, don't have me at not 9 and nowhere near 9:30. HSA, y'all need to shut the bloody blinkety blink up. She initiated the contact, right? Y'all not paying attention to them children? How the hell would you know that? Security cameras told you that? Security guards told you that? How would you know that? You don't know the contact that these people have been having. You don't even know how many times it happened. You just know the one time that they were caught in the act. That the perpetrator, let me be very clear here, because she is a victim. Talking about she initiated the contact. Y'all want my boot foot up, yo, you know what? Don't come with stupidity around me. She is a victim in the eyes of the law, and right here on the show and in the eyes of community, she is a victim. A victim can't initiate nothing. A 13-year-old cannot initiate any sort of a sexual contact with nobody. You don't know if he was grooming her over the time that they've been sitting there at the dining room table together. Come on now. And it already seems to me that she's a victim of sexual abuse. Boy, y'all lucky that I'm ahead of the RCIPS, because you can arrest somebody, perhaps rightfully so, for negligence in the death of an adult during a procedure, right? An adult that came into the A&E, but nobody not getting arrested for this. Nobody not getting arrested for permitting this to happen, for negligence of a minor, of a child. Stick a pin. But being fired should be the least of your worries this morning. The HSA should be under criminal investigation, and questions need to be asked of all staff, and some people need to be arrested. That's what should be going on here this morning, because it's criminal. It really is criminal what has happened to this young lady. And there has to be some accountability beyond just losing your job, as far as I'm concerned. That level of negligence is criminal. So y'all should be worried about getting arrested by the police and held accountable. Y'all better be lawyering up with some criminal lawyers here this morning if the police and DPP had time for the right things instead of calling me over foolishness. I'm not getting to that yet. I'm waiting for my lawyer to come back from her summer vacation. But they had the audacity, police had the audacity to call me yesterday. Oh, so-and-so claims you're harassing them because back during the election, you said something about them. A government worker, now, and taxpayers' money. And I'm pointing out the foolishness that's going on, wasting our money, and that equates to harassment. I told him, sir, officer, please go and read the Court of Appeal case that just dropped about me the other day. That's what y'all need to do. Stop calling my blinkety-blink phone. I'm sick and tired of y'all. Let me not digress. Pat says, who's protecting the child? Apparently nobody. That's why she had some big hardback man on top of her. Good God. I don't advocate violence on a normal day, but I tell you what, They better be lucky that I'm my daughter. Because geez, peace. I am sorry. So when you say, Lord, 9:30, hurry, listen to me. Being fired and arrested would be the least of your worries, honey, child. Seriously. Popo, can y'all please go pick up this man? Why is he walking around the streets? If he's mentally okay today to be walking up and down, he poses a threat to other people, as far as I'm concerned. Because I don't know what kind of mental problem you have to have for you to not know as an adult that engaging with sex with anybody in a mental health ward is a problem, but especially with a 13-year-old child. He wasn't that crazy. You see? He knew exactly what it was that he was doing. Please go and pick him up. It is a criminal offense. Lucky Body says this is sick. Everybody needs to be fired and charged, right? Aisle 2025, a 13-year-old can't initiate anything with a grown adult. I know. When people say stuff to me, my mind is like, what did you just say? Y'all crazy? Most definitely not. We need a reboot over at the HSA. I don't know where we've gone wrong, but the plot has been long lost. Now, the previous incident, I'm still trying to get details, at least one previous incident, potentially even more. Right? The police were allegedly notified and nothing has come of it. It's just gone completely silent. So I have questions now for the RCIPS because I'm curious really to know, how did this happen? When did this happen? What the response was from the HSA. Somebody says this story has their heart racing. Let me tell y'all something. Yesterday, when I got wind of this and I started my independent investigations outside of what I was told, my stomach was literally in knots. I can't tell you how this kind of a story makes me feel. And I have to try to verify, is this true? What are the facts? What went down? Calling sources here, there, and everywhere. And my stomach was literally in knots. I said, oh my God, I'm going to have another stomach episode here today. Because my IBS is triggered by stress. This is what causes me stress. To know that a young girl, 13 years old, already having a rough go at it in life, right? I'm sure she's been through so much already as a 13-year-old. And now to have this happen to her and to have these grown adults at the HSA seeking to cover it up and nothing is going to happen yet again. My stomach was just like, oh my God. I'm like, oh, I'm going to have to take a Pepto-Bismol. God knows what else today. It really does make you physically sick when you think about it. And if you think that this is an isolated incident, folks, I'm going to share something with you guys today. Because we have had parents who have reached out to me. And when they saw the story, they said, oh my God, Sandy, that could have been my daughter. And I said, what do you mean? Could have been your daughter? Yes, I took my daughter there. And they wanted to put her in there. And I said, what? Yes. She was only 14 years old at the time. Would have been another victim. And I want you guys to listen carefully to what I'm about to tell you, because I'm going to read some of the excerpts from a voice note that was sent to me. Obviously, I can't share the voice note, but I want you guys to listen to this. I'm going to share part of the screenshot because it doesn't show who the individual was. We have to protect our children. It says they tried to put my daughter there. This was yesterday evening. I said, blinkety blink that. No place for children. all of this money and supposedly things going, and they mentioned the Panton Foundation. I want to clarify that I was a little bit confused when they said that. And I'm like, what does that have to do? I don't understand what that has to do with this. But of course, Alex's place is there, and that's supposed to be a safe place for children. Now, I can't speak to if Alex's place is separated from the rest of the mental ward unit. I don't know how that place is situated. So I cannot say anything about that because I know that foundation does amazing work. And I know that they have a place there at the HSA that has offered amazing services to young people. Now, I don't know if that's actually part of the behavioral unit, how it's connected physically. I don't know any of that. So I don't want to speak to this until we can get some clarification. They said they wanted me to leave her there alone at 11 o'clock at night. They said, okay, sit down, give us your stuff, say goodbye to your mom, and she'll see you in the morning. Thank God this was a vigilant parent that said, no way, man. I was scared. And there I couldn't even imagine how, she was 14 at the time. Let me tell you what this parent went on to say to me. Like I said, I cannot obviously let you hear the voice note, but I'm going to share a bit of the transcription. So give me 1 second. Because the things that they said to this parent make me believe that they are well aware, even during the intake process, of the risk to young girls and boys. Let me be very clear here. If someone is capable of having sex with a 13-year-old, in my mind, they're perfectly capable of having sex with a 9-year-old too. So just because he's a little boy does not mean that he's any safer than the 13-year-old girl. In fact, let me be very clear, he is probably more at risk because y'all are less likely to believe little boys. So this parent, let me read from the excerpts of what they said. They said that the voice note said, they literally said, make sure that when you come with your daughter, that she is fully covered and she has no exposed skin. Listen carefully. She's basically not looking sexual or inviting in any way because of any situations that she could be put in. That is what they said to this parent. Make sure that she has no exposed skin. They went on to say, this is what the person said, that shouldn't be her concern. Yes, I know she obviously can't be walking around with boobs hanging out and things like that. But, you are. My child should not have to feel that someone is going to be looking at her sexually when she has other things that she needs to be focusing on and worrying about. Do you know what I mean? Like that place, I have no faith in that place. The woman that runs it, I don't like her at all. I don't even remember her name now. And they say she wanted me to leave her there and just go. She's like, this is what we do. This is how we do it. I've been doing it for years. I said, so how long were you thinking that I was supposed to leave my daughter here so that you could observe her, so that I could get medication for her to help her? Oh, at least 2 weeks. I said, no, blinkety way. Let me put it that way. I said, I'm not leaving her here for 2 weeks. If I leave her here for overnight, I'm going to be the root of all of her problems. She's going to hate me. I'm going to wait. She's going to wake up in the morning and she'll be here by herself and think that I abandoned her in here in her time of need. No, I can't do that. I said, I cannot leave her like that. Well, it's what works. I said, no, breaking people down until they feel like they're at rock bottom isn't the right way. She was crying. She's like, please, mom, don't leave me here. Please don't leave me here. No, I couldn't. As a mother, I could not walk out of there without my child. There was no way. It's such a scary place in there. I know it's not supposed to be warm and fuzzy, blah, 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 but no, it's not. They try and convince you that it's different. When a staff member was on the phone with me, as I was trying to say, I need to take my child with me. They said, oh, it's fine in the morning. You should come during the day. The patients get to walk around freely. They get to go outside. They get to no. So this parent was like, she must cover everything up. Say what? Okay. Why? Because they know what's going on there. Where do you go outside of the Middle East that somebody tells you have to cover up all your skin? Because they already know that the children are at risk. That is the only reason why they would be telling you that you have to cover up all your skin. Why? Why are they permitted to have adults, other adults, looking at them in a sexual way, other people with mental health issues? Heads need to roll at the Health Services Authority. I am sorry, but there's no explanation that they could possibly give me that would make me understand what has been transpiring there. Sarah says, what if a person was to take things into their own hands? They'd be the problem. Yeah, of course. They'd cover that up too. We got a problem. Wow. I'll be praying for 9:30 to come. Child, I don't even, this is one of those days that I don't even want 9:30 to come because Lord Jesus. So Phineas says, Sandy, this has been going on a long time because all of them sleeping with their one another up in there, the handful that choose to stay from it, let them go. Well, I'm hearing, not connected to this, but I'm hearing that senior management is up in there sleeping with subordinates. And I'm thinking, what? No protocols about that. That should not be allowed. I'd like to see the policy, the relationship policy that's happening there. Perla says, parents, be vigilant with your kids. They're watching porn from 11 years old. We're not even getting into that. We're not getting into no influencers on YouTube and porn because their children are not safe, Perla, in the HSA. They're not safe at the Case Foundation. They're not safe in the hands of the Cayman Islands government. You can control your YouTube and your social media channels. How do you control the HSA when you take your children there? That is what you need to worry about here this morning. That's what I keep telling y'all. Don't give your children phones. You can control that. What you cannot control is when your child is having a mental health issue, a mental health crisis, as so many of our young people are having now, and you give your children to what should be a trusted government agency to only find out that they have zero security protocols and separations. You know, the minister needs to go down there today. Minister Kathy, go down there today and shut that place down. I have not even gotten to Point Siena because that is a whole other mess of a situation, but I have to go there today as well. But because you see, John and the UPM government has done this country a disservice. Y'all are quiet now because you think that, oh, it's opened, we're all good, we're all done, we're not going to be looking at the facility. Y'all don't know what's going on there. That is another hot mess of a situation, and I'm going to break it down this morning because when the people are kept in the dark and we don't know what's going on, that allows us to be complacent, and we cannot be complacent with anybody, especially when it comes to children and mental health individuals. I'm thinking to myself, somebody's suffering from a mental health crisis, and you're going to damage them even more? How does that make any sense? Who this is calling me this morning? Please call the right number. Good morning, caller. Are you trying to call the show? 993, not too bad. 936-2626. Yes, ma'am. All right. This is crazy. You know, children are already vulnerable for obvious reasons. And the children that are having mental health issues are in a special category. And then you make it worse for them. What the what? Good morning, caller.
Good morning. How are you?
Fine, thanks. How are you? I mean, as
Good,
fine as
good,
I can
good.
be.
I know. I just listening to what is happening, and it really tear me apart
Mm-hmm.
because these persons who are running the business, I believe they should be the ones held accountable for it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I listen to what you just read, how they are being protected to tell the parent to make sure she don't have anything exposed. They know what they are doing there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And
Exactly.
I have encountered with persons who wasn't a minor, but was there
Mm-hmm.
when I went there to even pray for the person. There was like hiding the person. I was like, something is wrong, drastically wrong. So with this come out, I believe the head himself need to just wipe all of it out.
Mm-hmm.
You know why? Because if the head don't have the protectiveness of the children, who gonna have it?
Mm-hmm.
And then when they finish, everything covering up.
Mm-hmm.
And as a minor, she's not going to get over this.
Mm-mm.
It's going to affect her for the rest of her life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And it is so sad and traumatizing. I mean, it's not my child.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm so traumatized.
Yes.
So just imagine other parents.
Yep.
It's not a if, but nor maybe so.
Mm-hmm.
It happened.
Exactly.
And if they could just leave something, sometimes it's only that the person who will take matter in their hand going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Because there's so much things happen. And it walks through the head of the head and come down, and nothing comes out of it.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
And I'm just asking for divine intervention on this matter. If it means that persons outside have to do their own investigation, and try to take it slowly, because it is heart-wrenching. 13-year-old.
You can imagine.
And the persons them who will sit and do them work properly, they're not hiring them. Because the first thing they're say, oh, you're too outspoken. You have to leave some things alone.
Mm-hmm.
I hope justice come out of this. I'm hoping. That's my 2 cents.
Thank you so much, caller. 936-2626. And I do have a video clip here that I'm going to be playing. Someone said that, Sandy, the side effects of most mental health medications is increased libido. And this is coming from someone in the medical field. And again, these are all additional reasons why the HSA has got to be held accountable, even from the perspective of the medicine. They should, Lord Jesus, let me just read some more comments because I am flabbergasted here today. This parent says, and there's so many similar stories. This is where it gets very, very disturbing. Okay. Too many similar stories. This person says, I had a similar experience with my daughter. My 13-year-old had a mental health crisis, and I had to take her to the HSA, where she was admitted to the mental health ward. When I saw the condition of the ward and that she was being placed among adult patients, I stayed with her until they were able to transfer her to the children's ward. I didn't leave HSA until I knew she was in a safer, more appropriate environment. There should be zero contact on any of these wards. Let me tell y'all a story. There's a guy named Let me get the name. I think it's Salvin something or another, Caballero or some foolishness. Hold on. Let me go back and look at my website. He was an EMT. Yes. Salvin Caballero. That's the name. Back in November 2020, at least, we reported on him being granted bail in a child assault case. He was eventually convicted and sentenced to prison. And this man, it turns out, was an EMT at the HSA. So, of course, when I heard that, I was like, say what? EMT at the HSA? Houston? We got a problem. I actually received a message, and I was not surprised after that article went up, that the same guy, they were an emergency care patient, went into the ER, and this same guy came in there while they were there in physical distress. This was not a mental health case, but they were there in physical distress in need of assistance. This man was there feeling them up. And it had happened years ago. And I said, what? Yes. Well, Miss Sandy, I was so scared. I didn't even know what to do. I was a teen, maybe 16, 17 years old. I didn't know what to do. And I reached out to the HSA and I said, listen, this person isn't prepared to go public and they're not prepared to, call the police or anything. But this is what he did to one of your patients, touching them inappropriately whilst at the hospital in the emergency room. Now, when I tell you something like that, you see, these are the warnings. You guys don't know the little nuggets and the little warnings that I give people along the way. You only know when it's 9:30 on a given day and Auntie Sandy is blowing the F up. And you're like, oh boy, she crazy, what's going on? Because you don't know how many warnings these people have had. Of course, you fire him after that. Not to mention he just sexually molested a young child, a child under the age of 12. But in addition to that, wouldn't you as management of the HSA go, wait a minute, we have a male EMT having access to patients and there was no other person there in the room? This is the type of organizational gaps that we need to fix. Wouldn't you agree? I mean, I would have think so. So when I hear foolishness like this, and I hear that this hasn't been sufficiently addressed, even in terms of the mental health ward, I have to give everybody the side eye going, what? Are y'all serious? How can this be? Yeah? How can this be? I tell you, and I say this with all honesty, there is too much slackness that goes on in Cayman. And quite frankly, when it comes to our children, where we should be exercising extreme care and attention, it is even worse. There's no excuses for this. We have had child safeguarding. Well, we obviously need more policies. I want to know today from the board at the HSA what child safeguarding policies exist at the HSA, what general patient safeguarding policies exist at the HSA, right? When you have vulnerable victims, what are you doing to protect them? Seems to me, based on the outcomes of what we now know, they're not doing enough, if anything at all. Heads have got to roll. It's not enough now for anybody to come and say, oh yeah, we gonna write up a report and we gonna put this policy in place. No. It is time for some of y'all to get up and get out of there. Quite frankly, it's as simple as that. Let's do a poll here this morning because we need to send a very clear message on where we, the people, stand on this. This is my feeling now, right? I'm sure the minister is probably just as shocked as the rest of us. She has even gotten her feet wet. And she's having to deal with yet another crisis. Forget the money crises. That's one. The question this morning is, should both the CMO or the CEO, my apologies, and the medical director, they're responsible too because they're in charge over there as well, should they now be resigning as a result of this incident? Let me create the poll here. 1 second, please. Disappointment and when we reached out to them yesterday, of course, in typical fashion, oh, we have no comment to make. Really? Okay. Yeah. No comment to make, honey chill. I hear you. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, here is the QR code. I'm going to put it here in the comment section, and then I will put it up on the screen. Please vote. The question is, should they tender their resignation? Like maybe they should just save face and don't necessarily make the minister fire them. I mean, you know, you have that option, just resign and realize your own failings and go sit down for a bit. Here's the QR code, folks. Just go ahead and grab the QR code and vote in this poll here this morning. Accountability. We talk about it as it relates to politicians. And what I have to say is accountability is not just for the elected officials. Accountability, Darlene says maybe this should be discussed with the former minister. Well, her show will be on at 5 o'clock, so I'm sure she probably has some thoughts on this. So tune in at 5. But I'm telling you guys that accountability is required even within the civil service, even within our authorities, right? Or SAGSs or SAGCs or whatever the heck they're called. Accountability isn't just for one particular group. Everyone. So although she's in the care of I see a question here about what family she's awarded the state. Well, although I don't know the situations that led her to be in the care of the Case Foundation, but they have responsibility too. And I hear that is still, I've talked about them for years and it hasn't gotten any better. They're doing a better job covering up some of the foolishness over there, but that has not gotten any better. They have a new director or new manager of the house there for the past 3 years. And they continue to struggle. Miss Andrea says they should have 4 completely different units: male adults, male minors, female adults, female minors. Who's running the HSA overall? Not only this unit needs revamping and correct allocations for all health matters, same way you have walk-in patients and patient appointments. And even when you have them separated, Miss Andrea, you have got to have people checking in and knowing their movements. You don't think an adult male would rape another adult male? Or even an adult female on female? So let's not be completely naive here. Right? That doesn't mean you just leave them and let them do whatever. Oh, we'll check in, every 5 hours, make sure you haven't escaped the facility. Trendsetter, good morning, says this is so traumatizing. Zero tolerance and justice must be served. Precisely. So much foolishness that I'm hearing here this morning. Some of it I can't even say to y'all because, my God, it seems like some of these people were too busy sleeping with each other to be worried about, doing their job. That was the problem. When you're fraternizing at work, you get distracted, I hope y'all know. My God, what a mess. I can't make this stuff up. Even on a good day, my creative writing ability would never compare to the reality of what's actually happening. Yes, Leanna. She says, wait. So another child witnessed this event, a 9-year-old boy. A 9-year-old boy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, Jesus, take the wheel. Take the bus, take the whole HSA in your hands. Leanna says, fired, no payment, and revoked permits, no pension. Lord Jesus. Along with the staff on that shift when this sexual crime took place. I mean, how many staff members are on the ward? How often are they checking on patients? I mean, I just have so many questions. It's just crazy. Unbelievable. So let me try to pull up the video, because if you guys think that this is an over exaggeration on my part in terms of what's happening and the details here, I tell you what, there is no over exaggeration. If anything, there is so much more to what is happening there that I simply can't even comprehend. And I'm going to continue to go through some of what I do know. But I do want you guys to have a look. Give me 1 second here. By the way, cmrtv.com. We're still very much in the testing phase and we're getting things ready. But this morning, we're testing the ability to do the live stream, this show. So right now, you can actually go to cmrtv.com and watch the show. So I told you guys this week we were launching, and we've launched with Sabrina in the evenings. We're launching with the content creators, but also our technical team is working around the clock in the background. So I want to do a big shout out to them. They're working extremely hard to ensure that we're up and running. And so they wanted to test our ability to go live on the site in real time. And I'm happy to report that although the site is technically still in maintenance mode, that this morning we now have the live show working perfectly fine on the site. So we're getting there. 92.3% of you say so far that yes, the CEO and medical director should resign. And I'm coming to, got my guy designing the little thing. We'll put that up on social media as well. Oh, Jesus Christ. Wow. What a hot mess. Oh my God. Mm-mm. All right. Give me 1 second here. Let me just pull up this this video, because after another person saw the post, they then decided to go live on their own. My apologies, on their own page, and they shared some very, very interesting experiences of their own. And so this says to me that this is something that has long been happening. And I am very, very surprised that here we still are having to deal with this. So give me 1 second. Let me just try to pull up the video here. Yes. Okay. This is it. Give me 1 second. I'm going to download this and share this with you guys, because, you know, there's nothing like a firsthand account. These are people who've had to deal with this facility and people who've been complaining to other people about what's happening at the facility. And I hate to say that from all accounts, it seems like all of this was falling on deaf ears. Now, I haven't listened to the full thing. It's 20-minute long, but presumably there's no profanity in this. Lord Jesus. Off reg, work with me today. But the bit of it that I've listened to, there wasn't any. So I don't think so. But I must admit that I haven't listened to the full thing. So give me 1 second here, folks. Liana says, how is this mental ward set up? I mean, that's the $1 million question. But what we know is we know that it's obviously not an appropriate setup to protect any of the victims or any of the patients. My apologies. Diamond Eye says the system has failed us numerous times. This is an innocent child. They need to get rid of people who work there and don't care for their patients. More supervision is needed. Leanne says it's just a big church hall with beds all out in the open. No police officers with a gun. Well, I mean, normally police officers aren't anywhere with guns, but haven't seen the other media outlets cover this story unless I missed it. Says a lot. Well, AL 2025, I'll tell you one thing I know with certainty is when I get a story like this takes a lot of courage. Let me say this much. This takes a lot of courage for somebody to bring me this story, because people are always afraid of, oh, they're going to be found out, the consequences. Because, you know, most times what government does, they're more concerned about how I got my information and carrying out an investigation. Even with the thing with Chris Saunders, right? Oh, well, how did you get his termination letter? I said, that's what you guys are worried about? That's what the ombudsman's office, they claim they actually launched. Remember how we were saying he must have ran to them, complained? They claim that they launched an independent investigation. You know, when they call me, what I told them, I said, y'all got time. You have time to worry about how I know that a government minister was fired from his job and why that's protected under free, what did thing call again? Freedom, what it is? Oh, Lord have mercy. Whatever ombudsman trying to enforce, data protection. I said, oh, you guys not got nothing better to do over the ombudsman's office. He's an elected official that we pay a handsome, as deputy premier, we're paying a handsome amount to. You don't think we, the people, need and deserve the truth? That he was fired? When he's out there lying to the people, talking about he left because of this, that, and the next thing? These people are ridiculous, you know? So I'm sure the other ones are waiting on HSA to issue a statement or somebody to issue a statement before they're going to publish anything. We take a chance, yes, with these types of stories and lead the story because, number one, I verified it and I knew it was true. Number two, I'm prepared to protect my sources at all costs. And trust me, when they be looking at me, oh, if you don't tell us this, not we can send you to jail. I say, send who to jail? Well, you better make sure I can eat good up in there, honey child. And nobody ain't braiding my hair. So let's get that straight from now. So sometimes people are afraid. And a lot of times they don't trust other media. I mean, the 1-2 people that they trusted, well, Andrell not there no more. Poor thing. So which Kimanian over there now they gonna take information to? I'm just saying. When people bring it to me, they tell me straight, you're the only person that I trust with this information. Right now, I got a BRAC letter about the schools over there. Sandy, we don't trust nobody else. We know you can handle this. Listen to this video, folks. I'm going to play it in its entirety. And I want you guys to listen to it because there's nothing like a firsthand account. We have got to listen. Every day, we're having statistical information that's showing us that our young people are under immense stress when it comes to their mental health. They're self-harming. They're cutting themselves. They are committing suicide. They're attempting to commit suicide. They're doing a lot. And as a result, foundations, or, mental health professionals, they are stepping up to the plate, trying to provide the assistance. But if we're not doing it in the right way, if we don't have a facility that is purpose-built, and like I said, I'm coming to Point Siena, what's it called? Rehabilitation Center, because that is a hot mess. If y'all think now that it's built, y'all need to be silent, when I tell you what I'm going to tell you this morning, you would be out there protesting in the streets and up in arms. That was all politics. What you saw John did and pushed that open as soon as they got rid of Sabrina, that was all politics. And I'm going to prove it to you this morning. The place is already falling apart. 2 cottages occupied. Yeah, let's talk about what a hot mess that place is. And then 9:30 coming, and we're going to go into a little bit of overtime. I can tell y'all from now.
Good evening, K-Man and friends. I just read an article on K-Man Mall Road about a 13-year-old child being raped by a male patient at the mental health ward unit here in Cayman at the hospital. Having been connected with various patients that have been admitted to that particular ward and who I've spent a lot of time with there, I can say that I'm not surprised. I can say that I have raised these concerns with the faculty during my visits there. I have noted to them the blind spots, the inconsistencies. It's a disgusting, unreal environment. And, our family members could only go there. There in no world should an adolescent at any age be held in a same building with mentally ill adults or adults, period. This is why we have children's wards. This is why we have adults wards and surgical wards. My experience is that for every patient, there's at least 1 or 2 mental health technicians. There are cameras everywhere. I encourage you to go try to take a look inside the mental health ward and look at the disgusting facilities that they have. When or how many more patients, adolescents, will have to go through this? When I was speaking to Mr. Panton, one of the founders of the Alex Panton Foundation, he agrees. Yes, we need to do more, but no more. The more needs to be now. The more needs to be yesterday. What about the parents? The child will forever be traumatized not only because of this action, but of the things that she's experienced. And I can say this for myself, just being a visitor of that ward, but also for my family members that have been put in that ward. And I'll give you a story. I will be honest. I allowed my family member to be to that ward because at that time we did not know any better, for lack of a better sense. We were still new on this mental health front information, and while we were trying to gather our information and make sure that our home was safe for our family member, we were out of our depth. Let's be honest, completely and utterly out of our depth. So this was only option. And I remember going in there the night that they admitted my family member, and I asked the head nurse, how do I leave her here? This isn't safe. And they did everything they could to convince me. I maybe left my family member there for an hour or two because I had to go home and change and shower. But it was always my concern that a male patient would do something to my family member. I warned them that something like this would happen. I really did. But not only that, how do people in mental crisis heal while they're being kept in that facility if there are no real measures to teach them how to deal with the mental crisis that they're in? They literally admit them and they put them there and they look at four walls and they meander and they may go outside. And the outside has a one picnic bench, and then they may come back inside, and then they may take a nap, and then they meander some more. They're not taught in group sessions how to manage their emotions, regulate their emotions. There's no CBT learning going on. There's no anger management classes going on. It's absolutely ridiculous. And I know it's not always the workers that are there to blame, but the government needs to step up. It's time. It was time long ago. It is time now. It is unreal. And then when you as a parent, and I want you to listen carefully to what I'm saying, when you as a parent didn't have any other choice but to leave your kid there, I get you. But in my instance, when we came back and my family member was in a crisis, we knew, we had learned from, being in an actual residential facility and what that entailed. We learned how to mitigate that risk. And when we took her for a checkup at Alex's place, and they wanted to admit her, and I said no, those very doctors that I trusted and worked really hard with basically told me I was a difficult parent. But the thing is, I know the trauma that these kids go through when they are in that ward. And when they come out, they're no better than what they did when they came in. Those problems that they went in for are not solved. And so it's a cycle that's going over and over and over. And these kids, some of them socioeconomically can't make the appointments to Alex's place or can't afford the insurance to go to a private practice. So what are we doing to support them? Alex's place is spread really thin. And they have an amazing social worker. They have an amazing community nurse. And I'm sure the doctors there are amazing when you agree with them. They're not quite happy with me now because I signed my family member out against whatever, what do you call it? Against medical advice. But that was truly because I was not going to allow my family member to be put back in that position when I knew we could mitigate the risk here at home. So that being said, to the family of the 13-year-old child, my sincerest condolences. My hope for you is that you find a lawyer and you enact your rights, because they did not protect your child. The government did not protect your child. I've spoken to so many people before the election about it, and I'm passionate of making some type of change, and I just don't know where to start. So this is where we're going to start, guys. I would like to hear from Cayman and everywhere else. What can we do locally within our own little districts to better support our kids when they are going through mental crisis? I want to hear from those parents that have their kids who are struggling, and why don't we come together and support each other? Because clearly the places that are meant to help are not functional and aren't led the right way and are not helpful in the sense that these people, adults or adolescents, are leaving with any meaningful skills that they can take back into the real world. It's a challenge. It is a challenge we all have to face. And this is not it. Like this, what I read this afternoon is not it. I always had this uncomfortable feeling that something like that would happen. And when I tell you, the nurses stay in their station and then they come out and they check, but there are never eyes on 24/7. And as a mother, that terrifies me. And it should terrify you guys too. And not only should the rapist be held accountable, but every staff member that was on duty should be held accountable. Because there should be, in a setup like that, at least one adult with one adolescent at all times. That's if that is the only facility we have, then that is what they need to do. Who cares about a new airport? Who cares about extending the runway? Who cares about a $15 million school on Cayman Brac who doesn't even have the numbers of children that we do here in Grand Cayman? How about putting a facility together for adolescents that offers meaningful support to these kids? We've lost too many of our adolescents to suicide in an island this small. And we shouldn't. Our resources are, the way we prioritize our resources is so misguided. And I urge every single minister to look at the budget that they have and see how they can cut the fat and put more money towards the schools to make them safer, to make them less crowded, and toward the healthcare system that we Caymanians rely on. That means a better hospital. Why are you allowing foreigners to come and build better hospitals than yours? Make it make sense. Why are you giving concessions to these big developers developing these luxury resorts, why are you giving them concessions? The money that you get from them importing all the construction material can go to improving our local healthcare system and schools. And yeah, I'm saying it out loud this time because I'm mad. That could have been one of my kids. I am mad. You guys should be mad too. When are we going to change? When are we going to start prioritizing the children that are our future? And if you want to get me started on the education piece, come back for part 2. Or say, give me a part 2. But truthfully, what I want from my friends and for whoever sees this video, especially in the Cayman Islands, contact me. Help me find a way to support these kids. We need to. This is for our future. Every day I think about Elijah and I think about the life that he could have lived. And it was all cut short because of the shortcomings that the government, HSA, not having enough people, psychiatrists, not having enough social workers, because the funding isn't there. And instead of hiring people off the plane, as it were, putting them on work permit, giving them a mental health technician badge or 8-hour training, it doesn't cut it. You need actual people who go through an intense mental health technician course, so that way when they are seeing somebody in crisis, they don't just brush it off, because that is the last thing anybody needs in crisis. So message me, email me, Mallory, MALLORY .Warnock, WARNOCK @gmail.com. And don't let the last name fool you, you guys. I'm an Ebanks. And my mouth may get me in trouble for doing this, because it's already gotten me in trouble yesterday. So it is what it is. But our little, what's left of being Caymanian, and the generational Caymanians, we're dwindling, and we need to take care of our own. And we need to take care of our children, because they are the ones that are going to run this country in the next 15, 20 years. That's a fact. And we are doing them a great disservice by not protecting, supporting, and lifting them up through the school system and through mental health care. So I will leave you with that. That is my rant. But I'm so very serious. We need to make change. I am willing to step in and step out. But I need more than just my voice. I need you. I need y'all's support. This isn't easy. I can tell you every day, every single day I struggle with my mental health. And there are a lot of demons to fight. And there are days that I feel so utterly alone. Completely, utterly hopeless and empty. I don't know the words to describe to you how I feel some days. But I'm lucky. I have a great doctor. I have a great circle of support system. Not everybody has that. And they could have that with a facility that runs properly and that provides the adolescent. You can have an adolescent facility and an adult facility and a young child facility, but they need to have properly trained staff. They need to have educational sessions so that way they understand what they're going through, understand how to, work through their feelings when things trigger them, and really work on their anxiety and really be able to focus one-on-one without feeling judged, or that, oh, you're going to go tell my mom and I'm going to be put in this horrible place. It doesn't need to be a horrible place. We live on an island. We can make a space that offers meaningful support to our kids, to our elders. What are we doing with them? Half of them are just sitting down in a house and there's nothing for them to do. And did it ever occur to anybody that maybe these kids are having so much trouble with their mental health that part of it is because there's nothing for adolescents to do here in Cayman? There's nothing to engage a child between 14, 13, and 17, 18. They don't get jobs. They can't get jobs. Why can't they get jobs? Because the jobs are held by the permit workers. Camps only cater to a certain range, and the price that you pay to enter your child into a camp, not even I can afford it these days. So what do? Where do we go from here? How do we give our teenagers meaningful life experiences while at home? Because maybe if we were able to do that, like summer jobs, working at Burger King, working at Wendy's, working at Tim Hortons, being more than a bagger at Foster's, because not everybody's going to want to intern at KPMG. So I think government, maybe you need to take note of that. But thank you for watching. I know I went off on a rant, but to the girl who had to that poor child who will now have to work through an additional trauma, to her family, I am so sorry. Your family and your daughter are in my prayers. And same for the little boy, the little 9-year-old boy. I'm here for you. I'm here for you. And the community, let's rally up. Let's rally up. Let's figure out a way. Whoever it is that got elected for Red Bay, hit me up. We need a district council. Hit me up. Okay. I love you, Cayman Islands, and all those who are watching afar. Hope that I reach as many people as I possibly can, and I hope to see some people contacting me so that way we can make a plan for our kids, for our future. and I want to support parents. I want to be able to support parents who have kids that are self-harming, that have suicide ideation, or even have had made suicide plans and gone through them, albeit unsuccessfully. I'm in no way a therapist, but I feel that we need support, because there are days that I struggle as a mother with a family member who are having mental health crisis. And even though I have a support system, it still makes me feel, I still feel very alone and very isolated. Like, while I know logically these things happen to a lot of people, but in those moments, I feel very much alone. And
Oh, my apologies. I had myself muted. Lord have mercy. I'm sorry. No wonder the caller couldn't hear me. I was sitting there saying, caller, are you there? Let's call them back. We did have a caller who was patiently waiting. Sorry, I had muted myself. Hello, caller. My apologies. I had myself muted, so you couldn't hear me.
Yes, I will call you back.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, folks. Wow. This is really, really something else. Let me just take a quick commercial break. We're almost at the time where the radio will shut off. We'll continue on. Oh, we got the caller call back. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I choose to call again, but I call from this number.
Okay.
I am going to say publicly what needs to be said. That's my opinion, but I believe I will get persons who agree with me. It's in an entity. If they have 2 or 3 persons that stand for what is right, the majority goes for what is wrong. So that they can cover up things like these. But I'm glad that God exposing things, because what transpired have been transpiring for a very, 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 very long time. It's not just today. It's just that it is coming out now. And because you stand for persons like these. But I'm saying I have been here long enough. And a lot of persons who struggled mentally came to me and have made reports on many things. And nothing, even myself, things happened to. And when the report made, everything was just on the carpet. But I'm speaking this specifically to this matter. Why? Because I don't sleep last night. And it's not my child. But as long as you is a mother, you will feel the pain of this. And you know what I suggested is that the government form an entity, whether they want to do it in the police force or the CDC force, hire persons with experience that can teach wisdom, not only to protect the children, but can communicate with the children them to enhance them out of their mental state and be protected by them, not only to protect them one way, but in every area. And this is what I've been standing for and fighting for a long time.
Mm-hmm.
But because I am just a little, you'd have called me just low there, they don't listen.
Mm.
My place of business have persons come to me. They have their children's situation. They have their own situation. But when a person don't look beyond you and see God in you in certain form to understand that, yes, God is speaking. It's just two adults the other day. They're literally taking that mental ward and forcing medication on them. And write up about them say they are mentally ill when they wasn't. So we need to look into it not only on one perspective part of it, but in every area. Because a person can be going through, not necessarily say they want a medication for it. They just need somebody to talk to. Not only to sit down and collect your paycheck and don't care. And it's not only happening in the mental ward, it's happening in every area, the police station, everywhere. And it needs to stop. Who is going to stop? Hire a person that has person interest at heart. That care and want to see the better of that person. I can't explain my feelings. I mean, I'm so devastated because I know in the past I was molested. And I will say it publicly because it's nothing hiding. And nothing come out of it. But because I lean not unto me, but I run in at every single body of Christ that you can think of, just for the prayers. Because prayer changes things. And listening to you some of the time, I can tell you, say, you help me cross over. So when a person even crush you, it's not only for crush for body, it's for crush for good. And as long as person can look into it and see it and say, okay, let me amend my wrong and let me amend. But right up in that word, there is no security for person. Everybody just freelance. And everybody go and then just quit. What do I call it? So
Unbelievable.
They need to take more accountability for this. And not only that, know how to articulate yourself on the job. No say if you get a job, you do what the job requires and stand for what is right on the job.
Yes.
And I am pleading to the commissioner and the deputy governor and everybody. Hire persons who experience, who can discern. Because that period that I listened to just now that you put up, she's a discerner. But a lot of persons do not know that they are a discerner. Hire a person that stand for what is right, man. You're not going to know who stand for what is right, but put them through the challenges. And see that, yes, this person will stand no matter what. No matter how they lift them, they will stand and do what is right.
Yes.
And I agree with her because I've been, it's as if I am a business to itself. That person just come to, literally. I'm going through this. And you have to keep it. You have to keep it and just take it to the Lord in prayer. And I'm praying for the family. And I'm praying particular for the little young lady that can stand and go crazy. Majority of those who going on and acting, if you hear their story, Miss Sandy, it's things like this happen to them from even own family members.
Yes.
And it is so heart-wrenching and disturbing when you don't want to see the young people grow. Why you don't want to leave them to grow and enhance in their own perspective way where God wants them to be. And I am asking for this not to be covered. If it means that persons will lose their position, let them lose it. But take this to the as a stand and said, yes, it must go forward with justice in the proper manner. You have the heart to do this to this young girl. Have the heart to bear the consequence.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, caller.
God bless you.
Thank you so much.
God bless
936, yes, thank you, ma'am. 936-2626 is the telephone number. We obviously have a lot of comments that are coming up. The QR code is live, so please vote. The question now is whether heads should be rolling at the HSA. Natasha says it sounds like the persons who were hired for that HSA ward have personal biases against individuals who present with mental health issues. Ms. Dorothy says, seems so, Natasha. Leanna says, what happened to the free summer camp government had back in the day? Football, netball, basketball. Jasara says, kaboom, caller. Dorothy says, what about the topper head who's in charge of the wards? Children, adults, male and female. Who knows how long he has been doing this to her? Well, that's obviously another question, but we know for sure that this is not the first incident. There were other people involved in a particular incident. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
Not too bad, my dear.
Okay.
Sad circumstances today.
I know. Sandra, I didn't call to speak of this, but I'm sure you may have stated already in the beginning. I didn't tune in at the very beginning, so probably I missed it. But with this happening today and coming to the forefront, I'm sure you, like I said, you probably heard that there was an arrest and charges brought against a man for the death of the little girl there in the bra.
Yes.
Okay. So while that is sad, it has another side that I'm sure helps a lot of people to feel much better that at least, something is being done about it. But I wanted to touch on the subject at hand, specifically the HSA. Okay. From the time Mr. Eden was no longer the minister there, I'm sorry to say, every health minister has failed people of the Cayman Islands. That is where we go for health care. That is a government authority. Used to be once just government. It is still government. It's an authority. And in my opinion, and I've been around long enough, I'm the daughter of a civil servant, and therefore I always went to the hospital for health care, for everything. I still do. And I have seen over the years what has happened. And like I said, when Mr. Eden was the health minister, there was a drastic change. When he was no longer the health minister, you saw that like a snowball melting. Okay? And it is really, really gut wrenching. It doesn't matter what you go there for. It's almost as if you're in a third world country or in a war zone with a makeshift hospital. There have been no improvements. There are times you go there, you can't even get a pillow. You can't get a blanket. You're in the emergency room. You're in excruciating pain. You're asking for something for pain. Why did you go to the hospital in the first place? You're there for 2 hours being ignored. You have doctors in that emergency room who are moving at snail's pace. And I look at them and I say, maybe somebody should take you to an emergency room and let you see how it works there. In the word emergency. Why is it that nothing here is urgent with any of you? And God forbid that you have to go in the other areas and it's all the same. And the pharmacy, in my opinion, was being run the best under Colin Medford. Now that he's not there, that is falling apart rapidly. So I am saying today, I don't really care who this offends. This is not personal, but the health ministers have failed us repeatedly, repeatedly, repeatedly. It's as if healthcare has no priority and no importance to us, the Caymanians. And I say that because it's the majority of Caymanians that go there for healthcare. By now, that hospital should have been a state-of-the-art hospital. It should have been expanded on. Everything should be improved. So I'm appealing today to the present health minister. Please make this your priority. We can wait for the dump to be sorted out. We're talking about human life. These are children, based on what I heard, that should never have taken place. We don't know how many times it may have happened. God forbid that it did. Let's hope this was the only time. Please pay attention to the HSA and all of the branches of the HSA. Let us improve the standard of our healthcare here under the HSA. Stop granting, what's the word? It escapes me. Concessions to the other ones who come in, but Caymanians are not allowed to go there because they can't afford to go there. Put that money into HSA, please. Let us improve that. Let us make it a state-of-the-art hospital that everybody can feel very safe and comfortable going there, regardless of what they've gone there for. Yes, the population has ballooned out of control, but that in itself should say what we have now is not enough. It doesn't suffice for the overpopulation and the abuse that is being taken of all of the facilities. So let us concentrate on that. If we could get that improved over the next 4 years, I believe your seat would be safe until you choose to give it up. Thank you, Sandra.
Thank you, my dear. 936-2626. I do want to share some additional comments that are coming in on WhatsApp. This person had the following to say, lots of comments coming in. This person says that CEO has been hiding shit, continues to muzzle the staff to cover up shit, keeps things from the board. And well, if the board doesn't know, I can assure the public I wouldn't know unless someone says it to me. Staff are scared to speak because the CEO threatens them about not speaking to the board and the minister. This issue is the poor management, and that begun when they became an authority. Wow. So some serious allegations there that the minister can only do so much if they do not know what is fully going on. Unbelievable. Okay, this one says Elizabeth McLaughlin is the emergency head appointed when her brother Alden was in government. She's a waste of space. Another person says, I just love you. I'm overseas and watching your program. Never stop. Well done, sis. Great program. Thank you for your service. Lots more coming in. Just give me 1 second. This one is quite lengthy, but it says in part, Dr. Jefferson and others always running that hospital like they're in Jamaica. You know that might not be the first time that he did that to her, but the first time getting caught. Very sad. Well, for Dr. Jefferson, he's hardly on island at the HSA. He needs to go because he's just there making money and not putting in an effort to bring HSA up, but to get the big bucks. He got his wife as a pharmacist, and half the time she's giving people the wrong meds. Lord Jesus. Good morning, caller.
Good morning.
Morning.
Sandra.
Morning, dear.
How are you this morning? Well, I shouldn't ask how are you because it's not morning.
Mm-hmm.
I have never called your show. I've listened to your show off and on numerous occasions. If you listen to me long enough, you'll know who it is.
Okay.
But that's not the case right now. I am so shaken up, disappointed, disgusted. I am so taken back. My heart is racing 1,000,000 miles an hour by what I'm hearing today. And I cannot say that is acceptable. It just far beyond acceptable. If you hear me call you, I feel it gone too far. I have a 9-year-old. This prophecy is bad. To the point where it just, I don't know who the person is. I don't know where, who, what. But this I call publicly to say that we need answers and we need it now. The lady called, the video with the lady asking for people to come together. The Jamaican lady called, she shared her views, and I am just ripping up inside. My child is 9 years old. I trust a system that's supposed to protect us. A system where we go to for emergency purposes. A system where we go to for mental health support. That hurts. It hurts. It hurts. And if you, like the woman said, if you are a mother, you're going to feel it to your core. And it doesn't, you don't need to know who it is. You just need to hear the situation and understand that this individual is hurting.
Yes.
Confused, traumatized, wondering why was I left here? Wondering where are my adults to support me, to protect me. That bothers me bad. That bothers me bad. And I implore, I beg of you, which I don't think I need to, because you do what you need to do when you need to do it. So I don't think I have to beg you, because I know you will. But I call to share my sympathy with that family, whoever they are, she is, he is. Share my sympathy, and I pray God's healing and restoration.
Yes.
Mentally, physically, in that child's life. I am going to pray for that individual, for that child, from here on until there is comfort in my spirit to know that we have done what we need to do to get it right.
Yes.
Thank you for this show.
Thank you.
And thank you for sharing this. And one last thing.
Yes, ma'am.
When it comes to security in this country, we got to tighten up.
Yes.
Security comes to protect us. Security, whoever they are, whichever company they are or what they stand for, they need to do a recheck. As we would say as Caymanians, reel and come again. Get your security company in check. Get it right.
Yes.
Get it right. Because we need that protection.
Absolutely.
And I leave it there.
Thank
may
you
God
so much.
bless our Cayman Islands, and may God bless that child.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.
We have another caller in the line. Good morning, caller.
Morning, Sandra from the Brack. How you doing?
Good morning, Carrie. Okay, how are you?
Not too bad. Oh my gosh, more and more coming out of the woodwork about the horribleness that goes on in this country. And you know what? I'm glad it's finally shedding its skin, and I'm finally glad that a can of worms are being dug up and everybody is being exposed, because we have been sitting here like ducks for too long, taking a lot and getting a lot thrown at us. And what's happening? Nobody is being dealt with. I just want to say this. Someone was talking about Dr. Jefferson. They're absolutely right. Dr. Jefferson started out in Kim and Black, and Yeah, and then our government rolled out a red carpet for him. He wasn't even a citizen. He didn't even have PR, status, anything. And they gave him his full wages so that he could go off and continue finishing to become get his doctorates, his medical doctorate. Our government did him the same thing they did to that one up there in Northward Prison that has threatened all the poor inmates and stopped them from getting their parole. So we gave him we rolled out the carpet for this man. We gave him a plethora of stuff before we gave him his status. And that is wrong, what's going on in the country. He is happy. You see that mansion he built with Paul? Listen, he couldn't get that back home. Well, I can afford to tell you, I saw the whole plans of that. Anyways, I'm just saying we need to start rolling out red carpets for people who are not doing their jobs in the civil service or in the SAGCs, as is this HSA situation now. My God, that is horrible. I mean, we knew that they used to do it to the women in the police lockup. We knew that occurred.
Yes.
And now
and let me Carrie, let me say something about that, because obviously a couple of weeks ago, the Supreme Court, the Court of Appeal, did the right thing in my case and quashed my conviction. And somebody sent me some of the comments, all the haters over in CNS, because they can comment anonymously. The 5 of them can sit there and comment anonymously. And they're defending Matthew Leslie. But one of the things that I want to remind people that was shared in that original podcast, and yes, it was, I guess at the time, you guys weren't used to people really going off, having a 9:30 moment. Now y'all used to it. You know what comes. But he was when you talk about the prisoners, women in custody who are being sexually assaulted, as a trainee cadet or a trainee police officer, he was one of the ones at the age of 16, 17 years old involved in that fiasco. That's why they had to get rid of Matthew from the police service. And you see, because for far too long in this country, we have been prepared to turn the blind eye, especially when it's people on the fringes. Oh, well, she's a drug addict. Oh, well, this person has mental health issues, or this person is this, or this person's that. They deserve protections too. In fact, they deserve more protection from the system, because they don't have the resources and people are not as likely to believe them. But yes, those women were being raped in police custody, and little young Matthew,
even pregnant.
That's how they
pregnant. Remember,
that's how they found out about it, because she got pregnant. When they did the math, they said, "How on earth could you be pregnant when you were in police lockup? You're in police custody." And then she started to talk about the senior English officer who had sexually assaulted and raped her and got her pregnant. And our little Caymanian trainee police officer, Matthew Leslie, who was sick from day one, was there part of that whole fiasco. So I want to say this morning to all of the people the keyboard warriors who can sit on an anonymous platform and talk pure foolishness. I have done the people of the Cayman Islands a service when I let you know somebody like Matthew has been sick a long time and he is a predator. Amen. Keep your children and your women away from him, because he is a sick MF and he is a predator. Long history. But y'all don't want to talk it. This is the problem with Cayman. Too many Caymanians know who are molesting their children. Let me tell you another thing that upset me the other day. I went to an event, and I'm not really calling their names. They're a youth-based organization that does an amazing job. They had a dinner. At that dinner, they were thanking the twins, Matthew and David, for what a wonderful job they're doing with this youth organization. Now, I'm not saying they might not have done wonderful things, but in my brain, I'm like, wait a minute. This can't be the same twins that I've had so many young men talk to me about how they were molested under one of the twins, and the other one was turning the blind eye and taking the photos. Caymanians are too easy to forget and to pretend that this kind of foolishness is not happening in our community. We need to call out these child molesters. And so when they walked up there to get this award, well, you know the look on my face. I wasn't clapping for no friggin' child molesters. I know, not me. I just turned around and look and roll my eyes. Somebody in the audience after and said, "Boy, Sandy, I saw the look on your face when them twins went up." I said, we need to stop pretending in this country. Just because you put on a suit and a necktie, but you're a freaking child molester, does not make you a good, upstanding member of the community. But yet they want to castigate those of us who are willing to stand up and protect children and call the bullshit for what it is.
Exactly.
No,
in the BRAC alone, Sandra.
Oh God, you guys are prolific. You guys are prolific. I hate to tell you, but look like the only thing going on in Cayman BRAC is molesting people, children, and drinking.
And child porn, prostitution.
It's horrible.
Those are the number one areas
and like I said,
entertainment or whatever.
Yeah, and when you have somebody like the former premier of this country, Juliana O'Connor Conley, herself turning a blind eye to all the stuff that's going on in Cayman BRAC. She wants to build brick and mortar institutions to make herself feel better instead of addressing some of these issues facing our communities and facing our children, because it is damaging generation after generation.
Listen, I told him about the security guard at the Lehman Scott High School. Listen to this, Sandra, who was allowing alcohol and drugs into the school by certain, badass kids. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
They moved him from Lehman Scott and put him up in Creek with the younger children. What the hell you think? Now you tell me. You tell me if we are not creating monsters in the room. In this island up here,
it's absolutely ridiculous.
It's disgusting. A lot of us BRAC women, my age group, and I've said this on my show.
My apologies.
So
let me correct. Let me just. I said twins, Matthew and David. I meant Chris and David. My apologies. Calling the wrong name. Yeah. So
Chris and David.
Let me get it right.
Oh, and Chris, the white boys.
Yeah. And to Barbara Connolly, who the other day had the audacity to tell me that I'm a bitch. Well, that's fine. You have your opinion, and like I told you,
you better be careful. You can't hurt court like.
No. I'm not taking nobody to court, because what I'm gonna do is slap you with a case of the cold hard truth. Everybody can call me a bitch and have their opinion, but guess what? I know the village bicycle that everybody up in PPM had a ride on. So let's talk about that. Including one of the twins.
Oh,
and not just Fonzo. But I'm not going there today. That's for another day. Anyway, Carrie, thank you.
Doorknobs. Anyway, have a good day,
my dear.
Thanks.
Yeah, the brass wore off that doorknob. Could have been turned so many times, but I'm not going there today. Lord Jesus, please help us. All right, a few more comments, and then I do have to I do also want to talk about the Poinciana, but I think I might leave that for tomorrow because we need to dissect that a little bit more. Good morning, caller.
Good morning, Sandra.
Morning, Lisa.
I just want to say thank you. I'm going to say it again. Thank you. And I'm going to say it again. Thank you for bringing everything to the forefront, not just this case, because it's very sad. And I really feel bad for the family, whoever they are. But look, again, you hit it again on the nail this morning. We get those at the top. We have a new government, so they're just getting their feet wet. But when you have the top, like Brenda has just said, you have to take the head off of the snake, is what she wrote on your thing. As long as we have the top in the civil service and everywhere else covering up to all of these women that are willing to go in the dark corners, we're never going to see light in Cayman.
That's right.
And we have to applaud you. And I want the public to hear me today. I say applaud Sandra. I'm not talking about her. If there's something where her family's been hurt or whatever, speak to Sandra about it and let Sandra know that this said, whatever she said has hurt. But when you have an advocate like Sandra is trying to speak up for women and speak up for a country, for everything to go right, like that video this morning, she was willing to put her whole life out there and say, and this is what I'm going to share exactly this morning. 2 years, I was molested back and forth. I was being coerced to sleep with the top government official. The more I rejected him, it's the more he continued until the point when he saw that I would not follow the weekend before, the weekend his wife went to Tampa He wrote, I say, I don't know where to come. Write me a map in your own handwriting. So I let him do that map so that I would have a piece of evidence to show what I was going through for 2 years. The more I spoke about it to my boss, she ignored me, the same boss that I helped save for being fired 2 years before. And I was coming in from lunch. I was in the elevator. The man caught up with me. I saw him coming, so that's why I ran. And I got into the elevator. And let me tell you, my skirt was lifted up. My underwear was pulled. And I know what it is to be assaulted and to go to a top official. I have seen government change in the last few years. We've had Sabrina, we've had Catherine, and many others. Not one woman has taken me aside and said, Lisa, I hear you. We are going to demand an apology letter written because you have served my country. You're not just one that served. Let me tell you what the things that I did bring for my country, just quickly. In 2004, when there was no lights on and nobody could do any Christmas parties, there was one in my yard for the Ministry of Education. Why? Because my house was a brand new house built. I'm on the emergency circuit and I had electricity. I had no problem. There was a 20-foot tent in my yard by celebration. Mr. Roy Bodden, Ms. Joy Bastille, Mayor Rodriguez, and the staff members, the 7 of us. Very small. They were here in beautiful tables, and my kitchen was open because I can cook like a mother, okay? I can cook. I got it from my mother, and she's a West Bear from Goat Yard, okay? Let me tell you something. They were appreciative. They thanked me. And the prayers were that while so many couldn't have what we were having, a young girl like me decided to give back. I have helped Paloma, and I've spoken many times of how I helped put Kim and Brock High School and schools together because it was my uncle's 2 boats that went on the south side, and Emil Scott was the young man, and he had the back of his truck sitting there delivering stuff for people in the Brock till 1 a.m. in the morning, from 5 when those boats got in till 1 a.m. in the morning to Kim and Brock. I have got yet to get a letter written. I got an email, but a letter of thanks written for what I did. Okay, so it goes to show, and exactly what you're saying, I had to come back to the hospital. I got hurt in the ambulatory unit in front of Dr. Lee while I was recovering from my major and first hip surgery, which gave me a blood clot 27 days later where I nearly died. You know what happened to my records? Dr. Lee was ordered not to put it in records that it happened on March 16th. His record was written September 19th of 2016. He dealt with me, gave me ice, and he said to me, of all the people that have gotten hurt in front of me this morning, I wouldn't want it to be you because, Lisa, you've been through so much. And he said to me, I'm sending you to Amy because I know you just had surgery and I want to make sure you're okay. The one person I wrote to tell them I didn't want the young man fired because the young man has a handicap, but I wanted in a record that I got hurt in the ambulatory unit by the young man dropping the suitcase because he don't have two healthy hands. He has one that is damaged and one that's okay. And I said to her, but it needs to be looked at. Don't have this young man doing this because it says Dr. Lee had to deal with me on the floor for 30 odd minutes. My records, my x-rays disappeared. And up till now, they've not been found. I wrote Dr. Jefferson letter after letter after letter because he was the anesthesiologist in my surgery for nearly 6 hours and I left it with Dr. Wang. A great doctor he is in the OR. He did his job. Okay. But I'm saying I wrote to him to show him what wrong had happened and for them to make it right. And it has not been done. So I can imagine the filth and the stuff that has been going on that the CEO has been hiding for years. And yes, we need change. I've got a young lady that came from the university in the United States. Her name is Jeanette. I know her as Jeanette Jackson. She's married. She's a very qualified social worker. And she's gone through some stories with Pontiana, and I'm telling you, she wrote some stuff to OC a few weeks ago. I want her to send you that letter so that you can read it to see what went on there as well. She should be one of those we are now using in that hospital or in social services to make sure we should have evaluations of chief officers by psychologists so that we can find out the nitty-gritty of what's going on. Until we are willing to have these people evaluated before we put them in these jobs, it's never going to be okay. Until we are willing to balance the scale and have 90% from one country running your hospital in Georgetown, and then you have your Caymanians who are fighting down that are trying to become doctors, it will never be okay. Ronaldo Goff should be qualified and running a very high position in the Georgetown hospital, and yet he's being held down. I don't want to hear he's going to Jamaica, and I don't want to hear he's going to Health City, because Health City killed my niece. Young woman came up from Jackson Memorial Hospital in last year. And what I'm telling you, what we buried, I don't know what we buried. Because that young lady wished away. They didn't give her the right treatment. And I will never go to Health City for what they did to her and what they did to her father. I had a cousin also that lost their life. We are making mistakes by bringing some of the wrong people in our healthcare here. And until we wake up, it's going to be real trouble. Let me tell you, we have a lot of work to do. But please, like I said, Sandra, do not stop. I beg you, do not stop. And thank you, and I'm saying it again, thank you for bringing these things to the forefront. Thank you for standing up for our children, victims that should not be going through it. The police officers that have not arrested this young man, they should be called in by the government and fired on the spot this morning. We cannot have that kind of stuff going on. What if he goes to somebody else and hurts another child? These
are the logistics of it now. We don't even know if the HSAs reported it to the police because they were trying to hide it from somebody and everybody else.
Everybody here should be rolling this morning.
Exactly.
And I'm telling you, we need change in HR, because I'm telling you, like Ms. Brenda said just now, Mr. Anthony did a very good job. I will give him that. But what I will not give him is that he did not put and train enough of my Caymanians for doctors and nurses, because we had a Jamaican lady there that was in charge of HR. And let me tell you, she looked up for her own, along with the other two that was at the hospital, which is Lizette and Hazel Brown. They took care of their own and all of the other foreign nationals except our own.
Thank you,
and that's not standing in our country any longer. We have a young new government. They're getting their feet wet, but this needs change, and it needs change now.
Thank you.
Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, my dear. Thank you so much. I'm a little cognizant of the time because I want to be there this morning in court at 11 o'clock for this hearing with the child murderer, the alleged child murderer, who is going to have his first court appearance. I want to be there for that. Yasmin says the amount of women and men, but more women, Caymanians that have shared with me that they were sexually assaulted, not just as adults, but also as children, and people cover it up. And, oh, don't talk about brother so-and-so or uncle or neighbor or stepdads, dads, brothers, cousins, auntie, boyfriends, etc. As a mother of two female Caymanian children, it disgusts me how much people cover up. Stop covering it up. No more. These predators need to be examples need to be examples of every single time. I think made examples of every single time. So this will be what it said. This other person, thank you, Yasmin, for that. And it's a sad indictment on us as a community. And it is very, very true. So let me just see here 1 second, please. This person says, speaking of the white twins, they are not good people. They fool a lot of people around here. I don't speak to them for their same nastiness. If you know, you know. If you don't know, you better be careful. This person says, good morning. Thank you so much for the program. I don't have any children, but I'm the crazy auntie. No one better don't mess with my nieces or nephews. It always makes me so very angry when I hear of any child being abused. My heart aches so much for this 13-year-old female rape victim and for the little boy who witnessed this horrific act. He's also a victim. My thoughts and prayers are with them both and for children. As for the perpetrators, the punishment I'd recommend for them is not in our law. Take good care and continue to do the good work you do. Another person says, good morning, Sandy. A mental patient attacked a 94-year-old a few weeks ago in the medical ward. Surprise, surprise. Apparently, they had no space in the mental ward, so they put her as their old lady's, this old lady's roommate. What the hell? We had no clue, as there was a nurse sitting with the woman, but we assumed she needed extra care. When the old lady got out of her bed with assistance from her caregiver, she faced a full-on attack. Wow. The nurse ran out of the room to get help instead of helping them, and the caregiver was left to defend her patient, having to hold her up with one arm and fight off the attacker with the other. The old lady had tears in her arms from the attack. How do I know this is, sorry, how I know now this is this, oh God, how do I know something this, it was my meal, of course, my family, my husband's family doesn't want to say anything after a big meeting with the staff and apologies, etc. I'm just sharing because obviously other people witness this also, and I feel it needs to be told. Covering up, even families covering up when their loved ones are hurt. This person says, please remind people about the order of operation when it comes to these facilities. The minister is responsible for the board of directors. The board is responsible and by law can hold the CEO accountable. The CEO has to hold her senior team, management team, which includes the medical director and her deputy accountable. The CEO is responsible for the following, and they've listed all of the staff members that fall under her. So for those of you who are messaging me, telling me about, this staff member too busy, traveling and interested in chasing his male counterparts, although his wife works at the HSA, I hear you, and I hear you loud and clear that those people are not being subjected to any standards. They're not being reprimanded in any way, shape, or form, which is disgusting. All right, here's another one. This one says, morning, Sandy, hope you're doing well. Listening to the show this morning, and everyone has the right to be outraged at HSA's leadership. The most incompetent, corrupt bunch of people are still in charge of the HSA after all these years. The senior management team are still the same people in charge from years ago with Canova Watson. How these people retain their positions when the HSA is bankrupt in the country and not providing high-end services is ridiculous. It won't change, unfortunately, Sandy. Everyone is too friend with each other. And if you scratch my back, I'll scratch yours. And she and he are nice people. So CIG and the ministry never has the spine to do anything. Kathy and Andre should wipe that place clean. Senior management and all department heads should be sacked. Lord Jesus, all department heads. Wow. Lord Jesus. The public doesn't know 1/10 of what happens in that hospital when it's our money that's being spent. And everything is hush hush. They claim they won't remove the leadership because it will be massive payout to the individuals. But with the way that hospital is ran and money they spend in ridiculous amounts of shit, the payout money could even be a drop in the bucket. Time for a new board and new management. Competent leadership is needed. Also, Dr. Lockhart has been warning of mixing adults and children for years, and no one listens. Well, I can tell you what, again, you guys might want to blame the ministers for a lot of what's going on, but I can tell you when the staff talk to me, they're like, so much of it is covered up that there would be no way that the ministers could know, including Sabrina Turner, how bad it was. Staff on a regular basis is being threatened, about if they share this, if they speak and whatever, even to the point where they feel like their phones are being compromised and touched, which is shocking. Here's another one. And I'm telling you, these people work at the HSA. They know what's going on. They know how much is being hidden from the people. So while y'all talking about the HSA is great and all we need is a new minister, y'all better try to talk to the staff who are in the know. I'm just saying. This person says it's only gotten worse there, and it honestly won't get any better unless people are removed. Just look at the board. Shit ton of money for doing nothing and actively blocking initiatives some departments are trying to enact. How a CEO, medical director, deputy medical director, HR chief, etc., can remain in positions for so long and aren't performing is insane. Even department heads have been in positions for 20 plus years and know nothing will ever happen to them. So they don't do their jobs. Even nurses, techs, doctors, EMTs, etc., that don't do the basics of their job are never addressed. So why would the senior managers be held accountable? Because they are Caymanians. Personally, I don't care if you're a Caymanian, and this is a Caymanian speaking. If you aren't performing, you need to go. From the CEO down, need to resign. Our own people are allowing this to happen because nobody has the balls to fire people who don't do their jobs. HR doesn't do shit to get rid of people and never will under that corrupt fake woman. Oh, Lord Jesus. Kathy and Andre have a real opportunity to make this place better during these 4 years, but the bureaucracy and friend shit is the issue. HSA is corrupted. They don't even follow their own policies. A lot of people are leaving. The whole week of shows wouldn't even cover the incompetence at HSA. They need to be put on blast. Elizabeth McLaughlin is the emergency head appointed when her brother Alden was in government. She's a waste of space. Laughing out loud, Colin Medford wasn't even keeping track of his own staff taking drugs. He was in on it. The deputy medical director, Dr. Courtney Cummings, is way worse than Dr. Jefferson. Wow. Sounds like the HSA is a mess. Oh my God. Sounds like that place is a mess. Wowee. OMG. Dominique, incompetence would be the word of the day at all levels. Folks, I do have to get to court. Like I said, I've got a ton of things actually happening today, so I want to get on the road and get some of that stuff sorted out. But rest assured, we're not going to let this go. We're going to keep on top of this. I suspect that the minister obviously is paying very close attention. And somebody said, yeah, so call Samantha's name too. Well, you saw it right there. They said Samantha, who's HR? Samantha Bennett. They called her name. And, these are people who work there. So what a hot mess. Oh, my Lord. It's unbelievable. All right, folks, we do have to end the show. Police conference today at 4:00. Please tune in. We will have that live. And then also at 5:00 will be Sabrina's show. And I'm sure she'll address some of the comments that were directed at her today in relation to the Health Services Authority. Ms. Barbara G says, thank you so much for a good show again. Jess says, now you're hitting the nail on the head. Too many third world people working at HSA, says Miss Marjorie. All right, folks, we will see you this evening at 4:00 for the police press conference. Let's see what they have to say about this arrest. Like I said, I'm going to go and cover the court news. We don't expect much to happen today. I don't even know if he'll put in a plea yet, but in any rate, because of the nature of the charges, they'll elevate it to the grand court. And I'll report tomorrow on where that is, okay? Please have a super productive day, and we'll see you a bit later on this afternoon.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.